Hi friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable boxed travel bag with a long handle so it can hang on the door in the bathroom or wherever you are in your room. Or when you're on vacation, it can hang on the backside or outside of the bathroom door, whatever door is there. But it can hang on a door, as well as it helps when you unzip it. And then there is a little handle tab on the other side to unzip it this way. This makes a cute little box bag. It is 4 inches wide right here by 4 inches tall by, that's it. It's 4 inches wide tall. It's 4 inches. It's a 4-inch bag. So it is a very simple, easy, just a few steps to make this boxed travel bag. So let's get to it. Okay, the first things you're going to need is 2 fat quarters for your boxed bag. The first fat quarter is your outside fabric. As you can tell, this is not a fat quarter anymore, but this was. So here's your first fat quarter, and that is the outside fabric. Then you need a lining fabric. Okay, so you have 2 fat quarters, one for your outside, one for your lining. If this was my fat quarter from the outside, we are going to cut one 12.5-inch strip off of that. So 12.5 inches. And you're going to cut that by 16 inches. So cut your fat quarter, lay it out 18 inches by 21, 22, however long it is, and cut out a 12.5-inch strip. And then turn that 12.5-inch strip and subcut it to 16 inches. You are going to repeat that step with your lining. When it was still a fat quarter, you should have the side of your fabric left right here, and that you are going to cut a 4-inch strip off of that side. So you're going to cut 4-inch strip off of that, and then you're going to subcut it to a 4-inch by 12-inch piece. This will be the strap. And then you're going to subcut the other piece off of there 4 inches by 4 inches. That will be our little pull tab. Okay. Then off of your lining, what you have left on the side, you're going to go ahead and subcut off of that leftover piece some 1 3/4 inch strips. As you can see, I have quite a few of them here. You only need 4, so this one was up here. So I got 12.5 by 16 off my fat quarter. On that top piece, I cut a 1 3/4 inch strip, and on the side, I cut 3 1 3/4 inch strips. That was my fat quarter, as you can see right here. So I got everything off of the side and 1 extra strip off the top. You only need 4 strips for that. So outside is a 12.5 by 16, lining 12.5 by 16. From the outside, you will have a 4-inch strip by 12-inch and a 4 by 4. From your lining, you will have your 12.5 by 16 plus your 1 3/4 times 3 strips. You could go the full length, but since I had already subcut this along the top, I just used the extra top piece to get my 1 3/4 inch strip here. You don't need them to be very long. These are just going to be to bind the inside of the bag. Once you have all those pieces, you're going to need yourself a 14-inch zipper. For this bag today, we are using zipper by the yard. So I needed my zipper. I cut 14 inches. And then my zipper pull. The next thing you're going to need is some Pellon SF911. You can use SF101. You can use whatever fusible interfacing, but you need a piece that is 12.5 inches wide by 16 inches long, and that is going to get glued or adhered to your lining or your outside piece, not your lining, just to your outside piece, to the outside panel. So there's that. So again, it was a 12.5 by 16-inch piece of fusible interfacing. And the last and final thing you're going to need is a scrap piece of batting. I have already cut mine to 12.5 inches. I did not cut it's going to be 15 inches this way, or 14 3/4-ish inches this way. I have not cut that yet. I just got a 12.5 by 16-inch piece off of my scraps to start, but we're going to get that to size when we start constructing the bag. So the first thing I'm going to do now that everything is all nice and wonderfully cut out is we're going to take these pieces right here, my 4 by 4-inch square. I'm going to press a line in half. Then I'm going to take those two sides and go into the half and then fold it on top of itself, creating a piece like this. And I'm going to repeat that step with this 4-inch by 12-inch. I'm going to fold it in half, create a mark just like this, and then I'm going to fold those two sides into the center like this, and then fold that in half. So let's go to the iron and do that. And I'm going to bring over with me the interfacing as well as the outside of my bag, and we're going to fuse that, and then we're going to start our such easy, simple steps of getting this ready to assemble. Okay, here we are at the ironing board. I'm just going to start with my outside piece and my interfacing. Make sure that you have shiny side up or pokey side up on your interfacing, and you're going to put your fabric wrong side on that, and you're going to follow your manufacturer's instructions on how long you should hold your iron on that to fuse it together. It's usually 4 to 6 seconds. So I kind of just run my iron back and forth on it until it is fully adhered. Like I said, 4 to 6 seconds. I really don't count. I kind of just, do my own thing. Okay, once that is adhered, I'm just going to set it aside right up here because we're going to come back to it in a second. We're going to go ahead and take this small 4 by 4-inch piece. Again, you fold it in half like this. Then you take those two halves and you fold them in on top. Then you would iron it, and then you would fold it in half and iron that. We're going to repeat that step with the long 12-inch piece. So again, it's really simple. You just fold it in half like this, press the iron on it. It's just like you're doing binding, except it's a nice large piece for a strap. And you're going to fold those sides into the center like this. I always just flip it around, do the other side, folding it in towards the center. I usually have about an 1/8 or so inch of a gap in between the two. I don't always go exactly to the center. And this just allows, as you can see, that kind of space in between there. That just allows the fabric to fold on top of itself nicely. So it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're not exactly center, it'll allow you to not have like a little bulge in the middle when you fold those fabrics together. And what I mean by bulge in the middle would be on this edge, not your open edge. You would have just a little bit of fabric folding in there. You really don't want that. It lays a little bit flatter if you just kind of leave a tiny little gap in between the two pieces. So there's that piece already done. While we're here at the iron, we're going to go ahead now and we're going to prep our outside piece. We're going to go ahead and fold that over 1/4 inch. If you don't trust the 1/4 inch, you can go ahead and mark that. I usually just do this right here. Fold it over 1/4 inch or so, somewhere around that number. My interfacing is not sticking very well today on this piece. All right, and we're going to go to the opposite side now, and I'm going to do that same exact thing. Just going to come in and fold this one about 1/4 inch. Try not to burn your fingers. And then adjust it down so I get the other side. All right, once that is complete, I'm just going to stick it right above here so that I can see where those folds are. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the lining because we're going to do that exact same procedure on the lining. So I'm just going to iron it real quick. We're going to go ahead now and I'm going to fold one side in 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to align the two pieces to make sure they're where they're supposed to be when it comes to lining this up nicely. It's really easy to do. So easy, any beginner could make this. All right, so I'm going to turn it around. And as you see, I left this up here so I could see where those folds are. I'm going to go ahead and line this side up with the edge of this fold. Line that whole piece up, and now I'm going to fold this one down to where it's exactly the same size as the other piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and press it all the way down. And they should be exactly the same size to one another. Just like this. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to keep this right here, and we're going to measure in between from this fold to this fold. It is probably going to be 14 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and take my piece of batting and just make sure, line it up right here. I'm going to smooth it out so you can see it's away from the edge. I'm going to smooth it out, and I'm going to go to this side and go, oh, hey, it needs to stop. I want you guys to see in the camera. It needs to stop right here. So that I'm going to be cutting about 1 3/4 inch off, or 1 1/4. I don't know, but I'm going to cut it off. Okay, once that's cut, I'm going to lay it on here and see, and it is in between the two pieces. If it lays on top of the fold, that's even better, because what can happen is when I go to stick my zipper in that area, it will lay nicely. So once I have that laid on there, just the way I want it, we're going to go ahead now and take our lining, and we're going to be putting that wrong sides together, and we're going to match up our folds. Matching up this fold, I'm going to go to this side right here and match up this side's fold, and they are exact. What I'm going to do is, you can use spray basting at this step if you would like. I'm just going to take my iron over it, smooth it out with both the pieces right on top of each other. I'm just going to slide it here. You can see right there. The batting helps the fabric pieces stick to each other really nicely. But again, if you want to spray baste, you can, because we're going to take this over and quilt it. You can quilt it however you want, however little, however a lot. I just realized that there is a thread under here poking through, and I can see it. Scrap batting. Make sure you get all those little extra threads off. So now I'm just going to make sure 100% flat. You can even flip it over and make sure that the top is 100% flat, which it is, because that steam is going through all 3 layers. All right, so now let's go quilt this piece up, and this is really easy from here. Okay, here we are at the sewing machine. I have it with the outside facing up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch a stitch right here along this edge where the open is. I'm going to come in about 1/2 inch, and you can line that up on the lines that are on your machine. Ooh, I may or may not hit the camera a few times, my friends. All right, so I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm going to stitch across this. You can use a walking foot if you need to. I'm just using my regular sewing foot. I'm going to turn the whole thing around. Again, I hit the camera. I'm very sorry. These angles are a little bit harder. I'm going to line this up and do this side now. So these are the first two things I do. Just like that. So now that I'm ensured that this is going to stay folded nicely in there and not going to move. The next thing I'm going to do is just quilt up this piece. However you want to quilt it, you could free motion quilt it, you can whatever. I'm going to find the center here, and I'm just going to quilt a giant circle. Let's see if I can't get that thread down there. So I'm going to pull both threads to the top, and then I'm just going to create a circle. And yes, my feed dogs are up to do this. I'm going to meet up with that circle. It's a lot of turning of and lifting my foot. Okay, meeting up with the other side. I'm going to move that thread out of the way, and I'm going to start quilting around. It's not even at all. Just going to go in a circle. Stitch a little bit, turn it, just keep turning it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is out there in the galaxy. Nobody can see it except for these Star Wars people. Just trying to keep it equal. Like I said, you can just quilt some straight lines, you can quilt wavy lines, you can free motion quilt it. Oops, and see, every video I make, I run out of bobbin like right away. It's a good thing I have an extra bobbin ready for me. It's like a constant. It happens every single time. But you can see that it's quickly changed just like that. Oops, let's cut some excess off. I want to leave a long enough tail to pull up and through where I ended. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this right here. I'm going to pop that thread up. And then I'm going to back stitch. There we go. I'm just going to leave that thread tail right there. I'm not stitching super fast. I'm going slow. Everything is staying nice. It's not puckering. I don't really ever worry about that kind of stuff too much, you know. Let's get that one thread right there. There we go. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm not going too fast. I'm not going too slow. Just the right amount of speed. You see right here, I'm coming off, come back on. It's meeting up with this line, so I'm just going to stitch on that line until it needs to come off again. It was not center. So now I'm at this edge. I'm just going to go along that batting. I'm going to stitch right here. I'm also going to turn it like this, come down that, come down that line right about there and do a final little curve right here. And then we're going to come to this side and do a few curves. I am going to back stitch right when I start at that line that I stitched. So there's one. I'm going to come up here and do the same thing. And all these little threads I'll pull off. And let's do one more right here. All right, and see, I'll go through and get all those threads. We're going to go ahead and do this side now. Go back up here. Stitching on that line until I come out over here. While I'm down here, I'll go one more line. And while I'm here, I'll go up here to this side and get this one. And you can see I'm kind of pulling it a little bit to keep it flat. Come to there, and I'll do one more right here. Right there, and then I'll go across the back and snip away all those cut threads. It's really simple to do. Just get those little threads away with some little snips. This side is good. All right, I'm going to turn it around, go on to the top. Get all the threads that started right here. And right here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So now I have a giant spacey circle. Now, while we're right here at the machine, we're going to go ahead and grab our zipper. Now, again, this is zipper by the yard. I'm going to show you how to do the zipper by the yard, and then I'm going to also show you, if you don't have zipper by the yard, how to do a zipper that is attached already with a zipper head on it, because those are a little bit harder to rethread. So I'm going to show you how to do that way as well. But for now, let's do the zipper by the yard. I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to put this right in between these two pieces. So here's my two pieces. We're just going to lift the presser foot. See my two pieces right here? I'm just going to put my zipper tape inside that canal that we made, and I'm just going to hold it. And we're going to make sure that the machine is threaded, because I just passed over it and it knocked the thread out of the hole, which is like a constant in my world. But anyway. All right, so I'm just going to hold it in there. You can see both sides, not knock this out, both sides will be perfectly in there. So again, I'm just going to slide it in the one side. I'm going to knock this right here, and I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge, right here along the edge of the outside fabric. Making sure that this is in here. I told you this is really easy. Okay, so you can see my zipper is now in there. It is top stitched across the back, and it is also top stitched across the front. See how simple that is? Now, since this is zipper by the yard, I'm going to go ahead now and rip off my zipper from this side. Okay, and we're going to take this piece of zipper and we're going to go ahead and insert it now on the other side, just like this. So insert it in there. It doesn't have to be exact, because we're going to line this up when we go to put our zipper head on here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in between right here. Again, I'm going to have the same thing. I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge right here. Let's zoom in on that. All right, so you can see right along the edge, it should be getting the top and the bottom, because we folded those exactly the same. Just going to keep going all the way down. As you can see, I got my top and it got, oops, I missed right here. Can you see that? It missed it. If that happens and it accidentally misses it, just pick that section out real quick. And it's really easy to do. Pick that section out and turn it to the other side so that you can see, because you know that that side, and this is why I leave my mistakes in for you guys purposely for this. So I'm just ripping this off of here until I get beyond where I missed. Just beyond it. My zipper, or my thing doesn't want to slide across it very well. All right, now I'm going to pull off all that extra stitching because we don't want that to show. Just get it out of the way. I'm going to go to the other side of it and make sure that I got the stitching off of this side. And we're going to turn it this way just to make sure, because we know that it's catching the top, but it didn't catch the bottom right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and back stitch right here where I ended, hold it in there. And we know for a fact now that it's stitching on the top one. So this is why I leave mistakes in videos, guys. All right. So up close you can see it fully stitched across that top. All right. And it caught the whole entire backside. Now we're going to go ahead and take our project over to the table and we're going to hook that zipper onto both sides of this. All right, here we are. We need to make our zipper go in there just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up just like this, and you can see I didn't line the zipper tape up exact. Can you see one's longer than the other? So what I'm going to do is make sure that the bag is aligned right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make both of those exactly the same size. And we're going to go ahead and just use the rotary cutter for this because you can use a rotary cutter. If you've never done a zipper by the yard before, this is going to be zoomed in so that you can see. Okay, so those two ends are exact. We're going to take our zipper head now, and I am going to hold it where the curved side, see if I can get that in the camera, that curved side is going to face in. So I'm going to put the curved side with one set of teeth in there. And then I'm going to put the other side of the teeth into the other side of the curved side, just like this. I'm going to lay it down onto the table. Both curved sides are in there, just like this. And then I kind of just gave it a small tug. Now I'm going to hold both of these sides and pull that zipper. It really, sometimes it takes a lot of work. Sometimes it does not. And as you can see, my zipper is now fully on here, and I can zip and unzip, and both my sides stayed as equal as I could possibly keep them. So I'm going to go ahead now and trim off while we're here. While we're right here, we're going to keep that zipper open right on that end. We're going to go ahead now and trim this equal on both sides. There's one side. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to pretend that my zipper is fully closed by closing it manually and get the excess off of that side. So you can see I barely cut anything off of it. All right, this is ready now to mark it so that we can do everything we need to do. So we're going to center this. Okay, we're going to make sure that it's exactly center. If you need to use your mat, I'm going to lay it right here on the mat, and I'm going to see that this line right here is exactly center with my zipper. So I know that the zipper is now sitting in the center between both halves. What we're going to do is we're going to mark this and cut them out. We're going to come right here at this corner, and we're going to mark in 1 3/4 inch. 1 3/4 inch. 1 3/4 inch right here. And I'm going to take my pencil, my chalk pencil, and I'm going to mark on here, just like that, so you can see my marked corner. This is going to give us our boxed corners, 1 3/4 inch. And I'm going to take my pencil. It's a good thing I'm on black fabric. I usually just use the rotary cutter and cut directly. You don't have to, but you can if you want, if you trust yourself. So I'll show you how that looks. To cut with the rotary cutter directly, just like this. I come into the edge of that ruler and then I go the opposite direction. Sometimes I have to get right here to get that off of there, but 1 3/4 inches. And again, my zipper meets up still nicely right here. We're going to come 1 3/4 inch on all 4 corners. So like I said, I use the rotary cutter. You can mark it and use scissors or however you wish. It's going to be the same either way. All right, and then these ones are marked, so I'll show you with the scissors. I probably should have grabbed some sharper ones, but I didn't. There's usually a little bit of like corner that you got to grab. Right here. Sometimes it doesn't go all the way because I didn't grab very, very sharp scissors for this. These are just my basic scissors, but I do have some really good ones. I just don't need to grab them out. Once you have it like this, we're going to go ahead and turn it inside out. Leave that zipper mostly zipped. Try not to unzip it. You don't want to ruin this because then you have to put the zipper on. So we're turning it inside out, and that's the way we're going to sew it. But the first thing before we go sew it is we're going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 inch. We're going to cut 2 4 1/4 inch pieces off of this. We're going to cut 2 of them. I'm just going to grab the bigger one. They're going to be 4 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut 2 of them. One for this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. But you might want to measure yours right here. This section, both of these are 4 1/4, so that's a good thing. And these are going to go on these ends. But before I do that, we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew together our little pull tab and our strap. So we're going to sew the opening closed, and then we're going to sew the opening closed, and then sew on the opposite side. So let's go and do that. What I mean by sewing the opening closed is here's your opening. We're just going to go ahead and top stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge, all the way down that edge. I tend to hold the strap in like 2 different places so that it doesn't shift on me and I can stay in a nice straight line. I'm going to go ahead and turn that around and go down the other side 1/8 of an inch from the edge. We're going to do that same thing on this one, the little 4x4 one. It's now 4 by 1 inch, but you get where I'm going here. And we're not going to use this whole thing either. Our little tab on the opposite side really doesn't need to be this long. I was just trying to make sure that, you know, we had a usable tab to use. So it's going to get folded in half and a little bit's going to be sticking out. We're only going to be using about 3 inches of this. All right, we're going to grab our bag now. We're going to bring that up and over. Okay, what we're going to do real quickly is I'm going to fold this out of the way, this back one, and I'm going to line those 2 zipper ends together, and I'm going to seal that so that it stays in place real quick. I'm just going to stitch right over it, right there on the edge. See, right there on the edge, and it's sealed. Now we're going to take the side that the zipper closes to. So my zipper closes this way to close it. The side that the zipper closes to is the side that the strap is going to go in on. So we're going to fold that strap in half. Fold it in half right on top of itself. We're going to slide this in the opening, and we're going to center it with that zipper right here. So I'm just going to make sure it's right on top of itself, and now it's right under that zipper. I put it in here, line everything up nicely, and I'm going to stitch over that real quick with a couple back stitches, securing that down. And now we're going to seal it. So we're just going to take our binding piece, we're going to stick it right here, just like this, and we're going to sew from one side to the other with a 1/4 inch seam. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to take our little piece and we're going to fold that in half on top of itself. I'm going to get rid of that extra little thread right there. And I'm going to stick this in not all the way, but at least to where you have about 1 1/4 inches inside of the bag. I'm going to center it with the zipper. You can see it's sticking out just a hair. And I'm going to go ahead and top stitch that in place and then cut away my excess with my scissors. So just like this. So there was about, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so hanging out from both little pieces. And now that that's ready, everything's centered, we're just going to stick our binding piece on here and go ahead and stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way across. Okay, once that is done, this is so easy right here. We're going to fold this over, flip the whole entire thing to where it's exposed this way, and I'm going to fold this in to itself like this. Just going to stick anything underneath, and then we're going to fold it on top just like this. And now we're going to stitch across that with 1/8 inch seam, or with 1/8 inch from the edge, you know, from the edge of the outside right here. What it should do is land in the ditch on this side. So you could flip it over and sew it in the ditch. That's, you know, totally your preference. So again, I'm going to pull this up. Let's look. It's kind of sticking out a little right here. There we go. See, it was kind of sticking out a little. We're going to fold this in half like this, meeting it up. Just going to slide it up under there. And we're going to fold this on top of itself. It should cover this previous stitch line. Okay. I'm just going to top stitch that 1/8 inch from the edge of the fold. Like I said, you can stitch it from the other side. I just like to stitch from this side so that I can see where I'm stitching, making sure that I'm grabbing the binding all the way across from one side to the other. So sometimes it stitches on it, sometimes it doesn't. All right, so there, that step is done. So we literally have one more step to go. We're going to take and box our corners. And when we do this, we're actually going to go and grab some more binding pieces, and we're going to be cutting those at 4 inches. So we're going to be boxing this corner. We're going to be folding this away from the zipper. So we're going to be folding it down like this, away from the zipper. And we're going to grab a 4 inch piece off of our binding times 4. You need 4 4-inch by 1 3/4 inch pieces, which we cut in the beginning. So let's grab those real quick. Okay, here's my 4 pieces. We're going to grab some pins and we're going to clip first. So here's my clips. Just going to dump them out right here. And we're going to square our bag. So right here, you can see I have it on top of each other. I'm going to look in and see where my zipper is, and I'm going to push that piece away from the zipper. I'm just going to stick this right here for now, go over to the other side. I'm going to match up the 2 ends, just like this. I'm going to push the zipper to the one, or not the zipper, the binding to the one side. And again, my bag is not perfect. And then I'm going to put some clips here and here, and then here and here, just to hold it while I go to the other side and do that same thing. So I'm just going to open them up. I'm going to push my binding away from the zipper so it would be down or to the left, depending on how you're holding your bag. I'm just going to put 3 clips. I'm going to go ahead and do this one right here. And this whole time also make sure that you had your zipper open a little bit. It's just halfway. I forgot to say that out loud. So before you seal this, if you could get your hand in there to undo your zipper if you didn't do that already. But I'm pretty sure you saw me walk away with it, you know, halfway. All right. Now we're just going to take these binding pieces, the 4" by 1 3/4 inch, and I'm going to lay them on here, and I'm going to remove the pin, replace the pin, remove, replace, remove, and replace, lining up the raw edge. And you should have a little bit hanging over on each side, about 1/4 inch or so. So you can see it's hanging over on each side equally. Just remove, replace, remove, replace, remove. I'm going to put all of them on here. It makes it easier for me, and I'm pretty sure it would make it easy for you. So again, just making sure that this is center. You can see it's hanging over, and that's good because that takes away from us having raw edges, because we're going to fold that in. Remove, replace. And if yours has like a little buckle right here, don't worry, the binding is going to cover that. All right, so I'm going to lay this one on here now. Remove, replace, all the way. There we go. They're all ready for me to sew. So now all I need to do is rethread, and all we have to do now is sew these on and then top stitch them, and our bag will literally be done. That's how quick and easy this is. And I will show you with the other zipper as well. But first, let's do this one. Okay, so I got to rethread the machine. Right here, just going to go ahead now and stitch 1/4 inch. It doesn't matter if you have it this way or that way. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead, line it up, and stitch 1/4 inch seam. Move the pin. And I stop right at the edge. So you can see I sewed from the edge to the edge. So I still have my ability to fold this in. So again, you can have it on the bottom or on the top. That's up to you. That's personal preference. It sews the same either way you go. Plus you can see the stick over on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. 1/4 inch seam. I always back stitch at the start and stop, and a little back stitch in the middle. Okay, one more. Oh, we don't want that folded. Make sure that doesn't fold under. That was folded under just now. It's a good thing I realized that. And if your machine is not like this, where it's a semi-industrial and you're having struggles going over this binding, just take it nice and slow, or put a fresh needle in. All right, here we go. We're going to lift this up now, just like this, same as we did when we hooked the sides. And we're going to fold this in halfway. But now we have these little pieces sticking out right here on the side. So what we're going to do is fold that 1/4 inch in. And then we're going to fold this over. Just use your fingers. And then I'm going to put a clip here to hold that end in place. Come over to this side, fold it in about 1/4 inch, and then fold it over. Just like this, and that will hide all raw edges. I'm going to put my clip on here, and I'm literally going to just clip it the same as before, all the way down, and do all 4 of my sides. So I'm going to flip it over like this, create that just a little crease, you know, to help it stay. We're going to fold over one side, Just a little crease to help it stay, and then fold it over. Right here, make sure no raw edges are sticking out. Put the clip there, fold it in. You can even take this to the iron and fold it in like this, and then push it over once it's folded in, so you have no raw edges. I'm going to do all 4 before I do anything else. So I'm going to lift it out, fold it into itself right along that edge, create a small crease. This side has a lot of hangover, which is fine because I didn't get it exactly even. Fold it on top of itself, put a clip on it, come over to this side, fold that end in. You can use your nail, you can use a little finger press stick, whatever you have to make it work, or just go the iron. Get them all clipped. One more. So I'm just pulling on it so that it's nice and flat on this side, okay? I'm going to fold it to itself right here, creating a crease, tipping it to the side, folding it in, create a crease, and then fold it over on top of itself, put a clip on it, then do the other side, and then put your middle clip, because if you put your middle clip now, you won't be able to get the other side very nicely. All right, clip that on there, and then clip the middle. And now we're ready to top stitch all 4 of these. And then our bag will be done after we flip it right side out. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch all these down with 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Again, you can do it from the opposite side, but I like to make sure I'm catching the edge. And I back stitch. And then I always have these little hanging threads from cutting the thread. I just snip those away real quick with my little snips. And then my starting thread. We're going to do the other side. I back stitch, stitch on down, back stitch, break thread, snip the excess, 2 more to go. Away the excess thread, and you can see again it's stitching. Oops, I caught some threads in there. No one ever said they're perfect, so you can see that the stitching line is pretty much in the ditch from the other side. Okay, so you can see on all of these, sometimes it lands on the ditch, sometimes it lands in the ditch. But that's okay, because either way it's stitched down nicely, and this way you can actually see the edge when you do it this direction. All right, snip that excess little piece of thread off of there, snip my starting thread off of there, and all 4 corners are done. That means we can turn our bag out, because guess what, my friends? It is complete. Okay, so let's move all this stuff out of the way. Here's what we had left over. Like I said, you really don't need all the strips, but I overcut just because. So these could just go in my scrap bin. Okay. All right, everything is out of the way. Let's grab our little tote. You can see it kind of looks funky at this point. I'm going to go ahead and shoo off all this extra thread, because we don't want that inside of our little boxed travel bag. We're going to open that zipper all the way, and then we're just going to go ahead and turn this out. And again, I snip threads while I'm at it, but all you do is just push all these in. You go in and push the corners in, push the corners in. They should lay really nicely along the edge. You can see inside of there, it lays nicely along the edge in all 4 sides. That binding on the side is facing down, which allows it to lay a lot flatter. So again, I'm just pushing out the binding in the corners, making sure everything is pushed out nicely And then get all these little threads. Since we quilted it, it makes it so much easier looking, I guess. But here's the tab. So on this side that the zipper is on, you literally pull it closed, or you pull it open from your long handle. So the handle can hang on the door or a shower hook or whatever, wherever you are in a hotel or at home, whatever. It's a guy's bag anyway. Most of the guys use this style, and then the little zipper pouch that I did in the last video is usually a woman's style for makeup and so on and so forth. So here it is. Nice little hook, nice little closing tab, and a nice 4-inch, you see, 4-inch by 4-inch. So it's sitting in the 4-inch by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-inch. So it's 8 inches long, 4 inches square, and 4 inches wide. And there we have it. Just 2 fat quarters, some scrap batting, a zipper, and some fusible interfacing, and you get yourself a nice, lovely boxed zipper bag. And I like them so much, I made 2. So look at that. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to do one with a regular zipper that when you open your 14-inch zipper and it has a stop, I'm going to show you how to do the zipper with the stop, because these tabs are harder to connect when they are fully open. If you were to have separated your, cut the end off and separated your zipper, it's harder to get these ones back on. So let me show you how to do at least the zipper part real quickly on this. So let's get to that. All right, here we are with a smaller sample, but the same exact thing. So here is the zipper tape. This has the stopper on it. This is how you do the one with the stopper. We're going to open our piece up. We're going to slide our zipper in there. And I'm just going to put it a certain distance down, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch it the same as I did the other one. Just going to hold that in there. I'm also going to make sure that there's a gap between the zipper tape part, where the zipper slides. I'm going to make sure that there is a gap there all the way down. Sew my 1/8 of an inch seam. And there it's attached in one side. As you can see, it fully top stitched it. That's what we're looking for. Now to do the other side. So we're going to bring that other side right here, and we're going to fold it. We're going to stick it right here, just like this. And this is where we want it to land, right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that in place, or you can put a clip in it. Let's just, for video's sake, put a clip right here. And then I'm going to undo that zipper all the way down. I should have plenty of room to let it open back up. Hold my zipper in all the way to the other side. And with this open, see, I have it plenty open. If it was smaller, it would kind of try to turn on you. But this is plenty amount of room for me with this size zipper. And then we're just going to sew it the same exact way, except our zipper is connected just like this. So I'm going to sew along this edge, and I had my clip here holding it equal. And now if I was to take this and fold it, that zipper now should land even. Very simple. It gets both sides, except the end was connected, which we're going to be chopping off once we move the zipper back to the center. But you can see my side stitched perfectly here, caught both sides here, and I'm going to go ahead and now complete my bag, but I don't need to show you that because I've already done that. So I'm going to go ahead and just have my zipper open just a little bit, and I'm going to do that same process that I was doing with my bigger bags, but this is just a smaller one. So hopefully that helped with the extra long zipper. We don't really need this tape. It's just really hard to get these heads, these little heads, I think these are size 3, It's really hard to get these heads back on here if I would have cut the zipper and tried to put it back on. So this is how you do one with just a pre-purchased zipper. Okay, so there that is. So after just a little bit of time, I think I spent like 25, 30 minutes per bag, probably 25 more bouts, but here are the bigger ones. And I said the measurements in the beginning, but I'll tell you again. They are 8 inches long by 4.5 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And just because I showed you how to do the one little zipper, here is a mini one that is 5 inches by 4 inches by 3 inches. So it's super adorable. So I made 2 of them because these box bags can be made in any size. So just take, each time you make one, use a rectangle. Rectangles make it easier to do this. So if you want a 13 by 17 rectangle or so on and so forth, that gets bigger. If you want a 14 by 18 inch rectangle, that makes an even bigger bag. So the bigger you go, just remember you'll need a little bit more stabilizer. So maybe 2 layers of batting to give it a little bit more stiffness the bigger the bag. The smaller the bag, you don't need to add anything to because these are pretty stiff all on their own. But just remember, these are super fun, super easy, the most easiest boxed travel bag ever. So hope you guys enjoyed. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.